October 26th, Winnipeg heads to the polls to elect its new mayor. 11 candidates will be on the ballot with a vision of how they will lead Winnipeg for next 5 years. 8 candidates have accepted our invitation to convey their plans and promises. My name is Zuher Almusre and this is Civic Platform. Rana Bokhari is a professional lawyer practicing as a general counsel with First Nations across Winnipeg and is a human rights advocate. She believes leadership must be rooted in community, sustainability, and prosperity of all people.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your organization and to all the people that hear you and listen to you. My name is Rana Bokhari. I'm a born and raised Winnipegger. I'm a lawyer by profession. I practice mainly in general counsel work for First Nations across Winnipeg. I'm also a human advocate, a human rights advocate. I do a lot of work pro bono to move forward some very serious human rights issues, not only in this city, but wherever they come from. So this is it's a great opportunity for me to have this space to just talk about who I am and what I believe in and why I'm doing this. I believe in values. I recognize the fact that Winnipeg as a community, we are actually a very community-based group. As a collective. And I know that many of us do not like what we see on the streets of our city. I know that many of us look around and question, how did we get to a point where drugs and mental health and poverty and homelessness are rampant in our city? And I think that the answer to that question is that we've never really had leadership that was not so consumed by pleasing individual organizations or groups, and what we need right now is leadership that depends and that is rooted in community, that's rooted in sustainability, that's rooted in the prosperity of all people, whether you are downtown, whether you are unhomed, it doesn't matter. We are all part of the same community. And that is really the values that I bring forward in this campaign. I think that the only way for our city to move forward is if we lift the most vulnerable people and we acknowledge the history of not only our city, but also our nation, and understand how we're actually just dealing with some of those issues now. We're dealing with a lot of intergenerational trauma. We're dealing with a lot of post-COVID issues where we saw during COVID, it is some of the most racialized, most marginalized people who have struggled the most, whether it was financially or anything else. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. I'm a systems thinker. I believe that all systems work together. So when we are talking about what Winnipeg looks like under my leadership, well, we're talking about a city that is prosperous, a city that believes in evidence-based movements, a city that believes in things like safe consumption sites so that we are dealing with some of the crime issues, that we're dealing with police budgets in a specific way. I'm dedicated to reallocating 10% of the police budget into social services. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. We need to lift those services so they can provide community support. It is not the police's job to kind of deal with social failures. Right? They're there to respond to crime. And we've created a system right now that they actually are so consumed by well-being issues that they're not really even able to do the job that they're supposed to do, which is why many of us, when we are in crisis and we call the police, we're probably most likely not going to get an answer for hours. But these are very tough decisions to make. Reallocation of that budget will help. safe consumption sites will also be a preventative measure for crime. We will have individuals who are consumed by addiction right now, who are those folks who are breaking into things, stealing things. They're on the streets in their addiction. We have to get those individuals off the streets with compassion and with dignity, and provide them a space to do what they have to do. At the same time, providing them with the services they need to come out of that struggle. Right? Like we can't on the one hand say, well, we don't want people in bus shacks, but then provide no place for them to go. We can't say, oh, we don't want people on the street with hatchets, but then not do anything about drugs. We can't pretend that this is 1990. This is 2020. We are dealing with critical, disastrous issues, and if we don't proceed with a human rights lens, we will not resolve these issues. And then the other big part of it, I know we all want to talk about potholes. It's the summer. It's kind of like the summer anthem in Winnipeg, the potholes. So we have a great plan for infrastructure, investing in infrastructure so it lifts everyone. But any investment in infrastructure under my leadership has to be understanding accessibility issues. It has to be understanding seniors issues. We have to be understanding the demographic that we're serving. That goes for transit as well. We're investing in transit. I support the master plan, but I don't believe this is a 45-year endeavor. I mean, in 45 years, this is going to be a very different city with a very diverse group of people. So what I'm looking forward to is continuing to engage with individuals. But my purpose of being here is that we need a human rights approach to this campaign. We need to think of people first. We need to take care of people. And when people are doing good, everyone's doing good. Our businesses will succeed. Our downtown will be revitalized and thriving. Our infrastructure will be successful. Our housing issues will be dealt with. I know that we want to grow out. I know that we're expanding in this city, but we also need to start infill housing. We need to start filling up the spaces that are in our city. We need to put levies on parking lots. And these are all doable things with political will. These are all manageable things. But at the end of the day, we've only had one female ever lead this city in the history of Winnipeg. And other than the fact that it's concerning that we continue to fall into the same systems and expect different results, we've also never had a BIPOC woman ever even put her name forward. Now, in this situation, now I understand why. But I think that we need to have very meaningful conversations around these issues. And I think it's time for female leadership. I think it's time for a BIPOC woman to through her own lens, through our lens, as a group of people who are historically not represented. We need to start hearing our voices as well, because it's time, and I think one of the most important things we can do for Winnipeg right now is do something different. Is make a change and make a meaningful change and make a real change. We know we're heading to the polls. We know we're 15 days out. I'm encouraging Winnipeggers to vote with your conscience. Don't vote believing for or against someone. Vote for something that matters to you and that you believe in, and that aligns with where you want this city to go. And that's where I will leave it. But this is a historic moment and we have a lot of work to do. So I really encourage everyone to get out and vote. There's a lot of people in this world who don't have that opportunity. And this is our chance to make meaningful change. And, your future, your mayor, we get to create this ourselves together. So thank you.
Head to winnipeg.ca for further details on candidates and voting information. This is Zuher Almusre and this is Civic Platform. Thank you for watching.